When your house is cluttered, it can feel stressful, we can be unhappy, but let's get to that spot where you love being in your decluttered home, you feel relaxed and carefree. Today, I'm going to share with you my total decluttering guide from A to Z. Yes, I am in Canada and I just have to say Z. All right, let's get to it. So often people say, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. Think about it this way. If you were going to run a marathon, and you had never run a marathon before, or it had been a really long time, the first thing that's very important is you need to know where you're going to start. Where is this marathon taking place? You can't just go out and just randomly start running and say you're taking part of the marathon, unless it's one of those weird marathons, but I digress. So when we are decluttering, where are we going to start? The first thing I want you to ask yourself, what will give you a quick win? When we are decluttering, it's very important, especially if it's been a while, that we are starting somewhere that we are going to feel super satisfied, that we have done a great job, we're not overwhelmed, and we feel like we're going somewhere, we're getting places, we're getting things done. Well, I think one of the first things that people should do is start with a junk drawer if you have one. Turns out not everybody has one. I'm gonna tell you something. In my whole entire life, we always had a junk drawer, and in my house, we do. I think we have two. My fingers are giving it away. Okay, the other thing, if you don't have a junk drawer, is you could start in a bathroom. Basically, we want to start somewhere small where we're going to be so happy that we got this done and we can celebrate it all the time. Another great spot for a lot of people is a linen closet, because again, it's not usually too overwhelming and you can go through it rather quickly and get that win, hopefully in one sitting. And then when you're done, you're gonna walk by that junk drawer, for example, and you're gonna open it and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful, I love it, I've never seen something so beautiful in my life. Then you are primed and you are excited to continue. Okay, now a very important thing when you are decluttering, and this is something I do every single time, which is why I'm including it, is that you need to prep for success. It's very important. If you were going to run a marathon, for example, you're not just going to go out and run that marathon. No, you have to prepare, you have to train, you have to run, you have to eat right, you have to do a lot of things to get prepared. The good news though is with decluttering, to prep for success, you pretty much can prep the very day of. So the first thing that you need to do is to get 4 boxes or 4 baskets or 4 vessels, anything. I often just use laundry baskets, but the last time I used laundry baskets and paper bags, I really just used a mixture and it went great. So the boxes or baskets are with these categories: donate, sell, garbage, recycling, and then bring home. Donate, sell. If you're going to donate something, donate it if it is in good condition or pretty good condition. Don't donate anything that's broken. Nobody wants that. That's not really kind. If you're going to sell it, for me, it has to be worth at least $30 for me to sell it, to go through the effort. Say you're doing it on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. Sometimes if I'm want to get rid of something that's larger, I will just give it away via Facebook Marketplace. I did that with a dresser recently and it went like that. I had probably like 70 people that messaged me. So that is another way to donate things, and that way people will actually come and pick it up. The other thing is like garbage. So if it is, for example, in disrepair and it's clothing, maybe it's stained or there are holes in it, just throw it away. I know I don't like sending things to the landfill either. It hurts my soul also. Keep in mind, if you are living with all of this stuff in your house for the rest of your life, it's going to the landfill anyway. No matter what, that's the destination for broken stuff. If you can recycle it, that's great. Make sure it can be recycled. Otherwise you could taint the entire batch, which is no bueno. And bring home. This is a very important thing. So you have your box of bring home, because quite often things are in the wrong spot. If you have kids in particular, things develop little legs and they walk all over the place, especially if they're socks, but I digress. So you have your bring home box, and as you're decluttering, you just put things in those categories. Now, the next very important thing when you are preparing, you need to somehow, for me anyway, I need to be entertained. Now, you will often see me putting in my AirPods because I will listen to an audiobook, I will listen to music, I will listen to a podcast, anything to keep myself entertained. So it's actually quite enjoyable. The next thing, make sure you're hydrated. Water, 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 water. Water is good. When your brain is hydrated, it's easier to make decisions. Have a snack. We don't want to be low blood sugar. We don't want to be grumpy. We don't want to be cranky. We want to have just the right amount of energy. And sleep, 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 sleep is very important. If you're in a stage of life, menopause, perimenopause, where your sleep is a little affected, I mean, you decide. If this is a day where your energy is just too low, maybe it's not a good day to declutter. But if you've had a relatively good rest, or you feel like your energy's good, then it is a good day to declutter, and you are prepared because you have your boxes, you have your music, your water, your snack. Now, let's get to the next step. Now, if we've never met before, my name is Robyn and I am a registered nurse, but I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to help overwhelmed people to declutter all of the excess from their lives, including the excess toxic people and the excess habits. And I live in a house with 3 wonderful teenage boys and my husband, and 80% of us have ADHD. Let's get back to that decluttering. All right, now we are on to the meat and potatoes of this. Now, believe it or not, there are actual correct steps, in my opinion, when we are decluttering. If we want to get this done efficiently and we want to have a good time, we don't want to traumatize ourselves, we need to do it the right way. Just like when you're running a marathon, we're not just going to go out run crazy like Phoebe down the road. No, 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 no. We're going to do it with a proper form so that we don't burn too much energy and we don't fall down and injure ourselves. So the first thing, we're going to do one at a time. So say you're decluttering your dresser. One thing I am going to do today is declutter my dresser. I'm going to open one drawer and take one thing out. When I'm done with that thing, I will move on to the next thing. As I am finished that drawer, I will close it and then move on to the next drawer. Now, I love Marie Kondo, but one of the things she suggests in her methods is taking everything out, throwing it on your bed or on your countertop or whatever, and then going through things that way. For me, I find that completely overwhelming. I think this method is much more easy. It's easier to sort of not be overwhelmed and not like completely just get like bogged down. So the next step, after we're doing one at a time, is we're gonna pick that item up. So say I'm going through my sock drawer, I'm gonna like pick up this sock and I'm gonna say, okay, do I want to keep this sock? And I will ask all of the rest of the questions that I will get to in a minute. So we're going to pick it up. We're not just going to look at things laying there and be like, okay, I wanna deal with this and this and this. No, every single thing gets picked up and the decision is made about it. And as for making the decision, we're going to decide quickly. Now, if it's something where you're humming and you're hawing, the chances are it's probably a no. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Shall we move on? Okay, so let's get to the questions, one of the most important things. Now, if you were doing your marathon, you would probably have some questions for yourself on race day. Do I feel well? Do I know where I'm going? All of these things. It's the exact same thing when we are decluttering. The questions to ask yourselves are very important. So once you have picked up that item, number 1, do you use it? Do you wear it if it's clothing? If it's something in your kitchen, for example, if it's just been sitting in the drawer for a long time and you could use it, but you don't use it, you're not exactly using it, are you? No. Do you need it? If, for example, you had a glucometer because you had diabetes and you weren't using it right now for whatever reason, you and your doctor have decided that, like, we are not getting into that can of worms. But for example, you weren't actually using it at the moment, but you might need it. That's the type of thing I would definitely tell you to hold on to. Very few things will fall into this category of you need it, but you don't actually use it. So don't get stuck here, okay? A lot of people, they fall into the trap of the I could use it day items, which are things that they have in their garage or their storage unit or their kitchen, and they think, well, I don't use it now, but I could use it one day. The thing is, if you're not using it now, you're probably not going to use it one day. Keep that in mind. The next thing I want you to ask yourself is, do you like it? This is good for things like artwork or clothing, because some things you might even wear, but you don't even like them. Or some things you have just been hanging on to because they're sentimental, but they're like a bad sentimental memory. Okay, so these are things we don't want to hang on to. And the next thing I want you to ask yourself is, would you buy it again? So a lot of things that we have purchased, will we buy it again? Probably not. Now, a lot of people get stuck into the trap of gifts given to them by other people, and they feel really bad letting them go. But ask yourselves these questions. And for example, would you buy it yourself? And if the answer is no, well, then I think you might just have your answer there. I do have a couple more questions, though, that I suggest you ask yourself. And I am a bit of a fan of the Swedish death cleaning. So a couple of Swedish death cleaning questions that you could ask yourself is, does anybody want this when I die? Now, we're all dying. Nobody's excited about that. But we are going to one day, and somebody's going to have to deal with our stuff. So if you don't want people going through all of your things and dealing with things, and they're thinking like to themselves, well, why did they keep this? Consider that when you are doing your decluttering. The other thing is, I want to ask yourself, do I want to live with this for the rest of my life? Now, at the moment, I am in my 40s. There are a lot of things I do not want to live with in my house for the rest of my life. I want my house to be peaceful. I want it to be enjoyable. I want to be able to put up my feet, drink a cup of tea, and watch some Max Miller on YouTube. So when you are picking up your item, ask yourself these questions where applicable, make your decision, decide quickly, and then move on to the next item. Now, I have a very important thing that you need to ask yourself next. Now, this next one I did not put on here. I turned my board around and there are many cute kitties my son drew on this homemade whiteboard that I made for myself. I want you to ask yourself why you want to declutter in the first place. What benefit will come to you when your home is decluttered? Are you going to be able to spend more time with your family? Are you going to spend less time feeling bad that you have a bunch of clutter around? Less of that pressure on your brain feeling like, I need to get this done, all that awful stuff. And what sort of like great things will come when your house is decluttered and you have that amazing freedom? That's really important to ask. One thing I want to add quickly, when you're decluttering, I don't think you should make it a super long session. I tend to think 30 minutes, maybe an hour is a really good length of time. If you're on a roll, fine, right? Like, you do what works for you. But I think that in a lot of cases, people start decluttering and they go so hard, they wear themselves out, they get exhausted, and they don't want to start again the next day. So after you've run your actual marathon, you can't just stop. You actually have things you have to do. You need to sleep, you need to drink a lot of water, and you need to eat. Well, after you've decluttered, you need to take your stuff somewhere. This is written very small and I apologize, but I think it's great to throw that stuff in your car and drop it off. Now, if you are in the middle of, say, like decluttering every day of the week, then maybe you plan to do it on like Saturday, for example. But if you're just working on it for the weekend, I want you to throw that in your car, put on some tunes, and drop it off at the donation center. So everything is gone. And then back at your house, you're going to put the stuff that goes in the garbage, the recycling there, and then what goes home, bring it home. So you've finished running your marathon, or you've finished decluttering. Now, of course, we want to rest. We want to lie down. We want to just sit and watch a bunch of amazing YouTube on canning and gardening. But if we don't do maintenance, things will start to fail. Our marathon runner, their muscles are going to atrophy and they're going to lose a lot of the benefit that they gained from running that marathon. Same when you have decluttered your house. If you don't maintain it, a lot of that stuff is going to creep in again. And so I really want you to keep in mind that periodic decluttering is important. Now, a lot of us who have decluttered our entire houses still do spot decluttering here and there. Some people will just go and declutter their entire house once a year. Other people tend to do it seasonally. And I would say I'm more of a seasonal person. For me, I will go through like the winter stuff when I'm getting it out or putting it away, and same with the summer stuff and vice versa. I get out my Christmas stuff, I go through that. I will go through my kitchen every 6 to 12 months. And that is a really great way to keep on top of your clutter. Same with your wardrobe. You probably should go through your wardrobe anytime you change the seasons. And if you live in, California or somewhere warm, just whenever anybody else is changing the seasons. The other important thing is when we are shopping, I really want you to ask yourself these questions. Number one, do I have space for this? So where are you going to put that thing that you're going to buy? Now, recently I invested in a home roaster and I really am not sure if I'm going to keep it, but I made sure that I had a spot to put this thing. And believe you me, if I don't put it to use, it is gone. I will not keep it. Bought it on Facebook Marketplace for $25 and I will sell it on Facebook Marketplace for $25. But ask yourself, do you have space? And whenever we buy anything in our house, we really tend to give it some thought. I want you to ask yourself, is it on sale? And is that why I'm buying it? I can fall into the trap of walking through Costco and seeing things that I like there, but then I will say to myself, no, 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 no. First of all, where are you gonna put this? Are you just buying this because this is on sale or because this is at Costco? And also ask yourself, am I going to declutter this soon? Because if you buy it, I mean, how many times have you bought something because it was on sale or just like random and then you're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even use this. Am I going to end up decluttering this? So important to ask yourself these questions for maintenance. Recently, I made a video about the 5 best, in my opinion, decluttering methods. And we're talking about Swedish death cleaning, Marie Kondo, the works. So check that out here. And thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.